it'd be good for us to have a black woman as president for the first time in history.
Yeah.
But my vote's kind of still on Trump.
You are now tuned in to the multi-nominated, award-winning Game Spitting Chronicles podcast, hosted by the homie Cuzzo. You BZ? It's the Chronicles podcast. 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 It's the Chronicles podcast.
What up, y'all? This is your boy Cuzzo, and we are back for another episode of the Chronicles podcast, you dig? I am back from vacation. We got to give it up for vacation. Got to give it up. I'm tongue-tied early because we have so much to cover. I feel like I've missed so much, and of course, when I choose to have some time, then shit wants to happen. Exactly. But before anything, I want to give you guys a rundown. So me and Queen Bee went to Vegas. I'll be also giving reviews on this podcast, but we stayed at the Tuscany Casino right off the strip. See, I've been to Vegas so many times now, staying on the strip, staying on Fremont Street, been there, done that. Decided that we wanted to do something off strip to have more of a relaxing trip. Oh, yeah. So the hotel was nice. Pool, amazing. You know, the gambling, they have old machines that they keep in the back, and they have the new machines on the floor, of course, but motherfuckers weren't winning shit on them. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You see, as many times as I've personally been to Vegas, we've been to Vegas, I mean, we usually did the Strip, Fremont Street, all of that. So this experience this time was more so doing things off the Strip, eating places, looking up places to go eat online. And boy, we found some gems. Oh, yeah. Definitely found some gems out there, you know. The first one I want to give, definitely props to. Well, I'll go through it day by day. Wednesday, ate at Maryland's Cafe in the Tuscany. It was okay for just touching down. It was decent. John Cutter's Steak and Lobster special on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Oh, yeah. Then, of course, we came back and watched the Ashley Fuller show live performing. Thursday, Bagel Mania. Gotta give it up for Bagel Mania. Pink Box Donuts have amazing donuts. Dirt Dogs. Ate there at Dirt Dogs. Gotta give salute to them, definitely. Pub 365. Didn't like it. It was trash. went to Bulldoggies. Definitely got to give them props. Peppermill, South Point Buffet, Sweet Talk, got to give them props to. Sweet Talk had some of the most amazing dessert I think I've ever had off the strip. They need to get one of those in Alaska. If they get one of those, I'm going every day, definitely. Got to. And of course, an amazing dinner at Oscars on Fremont Street. One of the world famous Oscars, you dig? Truffles and bacon, amazing as well. Of course, I'll be showing you guys links to these, hopefully I'll be posting them. But yeah, amazing restaurants. And I tell people, when you go to Vegas, you don't have to eat on the strip to have a good time. There's plenty of places to eat off the strip that are way cheaper. Save the strip for when you just want to hang out, walk around, and do stuff. There's so much other stuff to do. I'm a Kiss fan, believe it or not. I know many of you don't know that. Oh, yeah. Cuzzo listens to everything. He listens to a little bit of metal, a little bit of rock, classic rock. But we did the Kiss mini golf. Oh, yes. While they played Kiss music in the background. But ultimately, it was a very relaxing vacation. Post-Vegas thoughts, I think that can finally close the chapter on going to Vegas. I think the only other time I would really want to go to Vegas is if it was a big event. I'm a wrestling guy, so I know they're doing WrestleMania in Vegas, but I've been to WrestleMania multiple times in my lifetime, so I don't even know if that would bring me out there. It would have to be something major for me to say, okay, let's go do Vegas for a week or a weekend. But once you go do Vegas for a week and you've already done Vegas previously, it's not too much more to do the older you get, So, I think that closes the door on that chapter. Now, Vegas, of course, has changed from the way it used to be. It's not what it used to be. A lot of the older casinos, like the Mirage, is gone now. They're building a lot of these newer casinos to try to attract a younger crowd. So, a lot of the casinos look older, run down, smell bad on the inside, It's just, if you're a young person, maybe Vegas is something that you'd want to see. But ultimately, Vegas is a lot of walking. If you're drunk, it's a lot of walking drunk. And if you're a female, I would advise, based on the shit that I saw guys walking up, putting their hands on women, all kind of weird shit. I wouldn't advise going by yourself. We were eating at the Peppermill, and there was this big back bitch just running her mouth to this dude at the table. Yeah. Come on. It's crazy. You would think that the guy wouldn't have been wrong if he said, bitch, I don't got to sit here and take this. You're a big back bitch. Why am I even here still talking to you? Come on. Yeah. But ultimately, it made me to sit and think, and it was funny because I'm not trying to clown, but this was a very large woman. And then she breaks down crying. She's disrespecting this dude at the table, but then she's saying, I'm respecting him. I'm respecting you. I'm respecting you. Like, no, you're not. You're disrespecting him. If you have to keep saying you respect him, you don't respect him. So then when they brought salad, the big back had the audacity to say, I make an amazing salad. I started laughing at the table. I couldn't hold it in. I started giggling internally. Jesus. I'm listening to this big bitch talk about how she makes an amazing salad, and it's like, bitch, I don't think you've been around any vegetation in a very long time. Oh, yeah. But ultimately, it was a good trip. Relaxed, rejuvenated, got to actually collect my thoughts. I hadn't been able to do that in a minute. Recharge, took a lot of pictures, enjoyed. I took a time to enjoy vacation because a lot of times when I've went to Vegas, it's either been for a fight or an event. And this was the time I actually went and actually got to catch my breath, look around, observe what is going on around me, and actually properly intake the moment of being on vacation. So it was good times, But yeah, we got so much to cover today, man. I just wanted to let you guys know, because I know you guys are like, man, what's going on? So much is happening. Where is he at? I was vacationing. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, where do I start? Diddy was denied bail. Is anyone surprised at that? We are on the cusp of this Diddy shit. Of course, I guess there was rumblings that there's a guy, a male sex worker who's came forward, who's cooperating, who's turned over video of a freak off to the feds. Folks, Diddy's done. I got to keep it a buck. Diddy's not beating this. Do I think that there's a chance that ultimately he could get a good deal? Well, that depends. It depends on who else you got on the tapes, nigga. Yeah. Usher claimed he got hacked and deleted. They were saying between 7,000 and 10,000 tweets, but claims he got hacked. But the hacker didn't post anything on his account or anything. How hilarious is that, right? Can't make this shit up. Yeah. Pink, the same thing. Pink went on a deleting spree. Kevin Liles is stepping down, resigning. All these CEOs and everything are resigning. Is this tied to Diddy? I mean, is it? There's a bunch of CEOs resigning. I mean, they literally have a list of the CEOs who have resigned since Diddy's detainment. You have John Donahue, Nike CEO, Warner Music Japan CEO, Sony Music, Village Supermarket, TD Bank. I mean, Kevin Liles now. The list goes on. Is it a coincidence, or does he got videos of them in freak-offs? because they got tapes, and I'm sure there's politicians and music artists. I'm sure it's all kind of people that Diddy's got videos of freak offs. What is going to come of this? I wonder who the politicians are. Oh man, it's going to get kinky. Then you see Eric Adams just got indicted today. Corruption charges, including bribery and wire fraud. It's like, come on. Make this make sense as to what's going on right now in the world. Because Eric Adams, from what I saw in a clip today, they were tracking him for a while. They were tracking him for a long time. And he was just walking around accepting money, they claim. They have 1 count, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, federal program bribery, and to receive campaign contributions by foreign nationals. Count 2, wire fraud. Count 3, solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national. Count 4, solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national. Count 5, bribery. That's a hot mess. Big time, you know? And he came out and made a statement. But he claims he's not going anywhere. That's what he says.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies. But they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target, and a target I became. For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty. Just this past week, they searched the home of our new police commissioner, looking for documents from 20 years ago, just 1 week after he joined my administration. Enough. I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit.
That's what he says he's going to do. That's what he claims. Now, he could be in cuffs as early as next week. Yeah. The question a lot of people are asking, though, is why now? I mean, they've had all this information on him for a while. Why now? Could it be because he was starting to change his mind on the whole migrant situation in New York City?
Support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian-speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We had a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you asked me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played. How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us? How many of you were part of the movement to say, we're seeing what this mayor is trying to do and they're destroying New York City? It's going to come to your neighborhoods. All of us are going to be impacted by this. I said it last year when we had 15,000. And I'm telling you now, with 110,000, the city we knew we're about to lose. And we're all in this together, all of us. Staten Island saying, send them out to Manhattan. Manhattan is saying, send them out to Queens. Queens is saying, send them out to Brooklyn. No, it's not the game we can play. Open the floor up.
Folks, he said that 1 year ago, damn near to the day. Damn near to the day he said that. What do you think? Do you think it's tied to his shifting opinion on the migrant crisis? Or he did give Diddy the key to the city. Could it have to do with that? We won't know. We're only in the beginning of this. But Cuzzo's here to follow this for you. Yeah. I mean, it's so many moving parts to it. To this Diddy thing, to this Eric Adams thing. It's a lot of moving parts. Meanwhile, we have Kamala Harris going on Oprah. And boy, that Oprah interview was a shit show, wasn't it? Yeah. She's saying the same things every interview. She says the same things. People are catching on. She really doesn't have anything to say, anything to contribute. Nobody's leaving saying, you know what? Kamala really said some shit for us to goddamn chew on tonight. No. They're not saying that at all. Nobody's leaving baffled by anything that Kamala's saying. They're trying so hard to help her, but when you see her, I implore you just to go watch some of her interviews. She doesn't sound the same and as confident as she did on debate night. I wonder why that is. She doesn't seem confident in her answers. She doesn't directly answer any questions. She just talks weird. Oprah at one point said, I just started laughing. That's what Oprah said when she said something. Yeah. But here's a sample of the MSNBC interview that she did recently.
Tariffs aren't unique to President Trump. President Biden has tariffs in place. He's actually looking to potentially implement more. Where do you come out on? Is there a good tariff, a bad tariff?
Well, part of it is you don't just throw around the idea of just tariffs across the board, and that's part of the problem with Donald Trump. Frankly, I'm going to, and I say this in all sincerity, he's just not very serious about how he thinks about some of these issues. And one must be serious and have a plan.
Jesus Lord. That makes me think that she doesn't even know what a tariff is. But let's continue.
And assistance to state and local governments around transit dollars. And looking holistically at the connection between that and housing. And looking holistically at the incentives we in the federal government can create for local and state governments to actually engage in planning in a holistic manner that includes prioritizing affordable housing.
Huh? Let's give you some more.
Prices are still high.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You said you want to take this on by going after those who engage in price gouging.
Yeah.
But as somebody who supports free markets, who's a capitalist, how do you go after price gouging without implementing price controls? Because once we get in this zone, people start to get worried and they say, I don't know what she stands for.
So, just to be very frank, I am never going to apologize for going after companies and corporations that take advantage of the desperation of the American people. And as Attorney General, I saw this happen. In the midst of an emergency, whether it be an extreme weather event or even the pandemic, we saw it, where those few companies, not the majority, not most, but those few companies that would take advantage of the desperation of people and jack up prices. Yeah, I'm going to go after them. Yes, I'm going to go after them. And that is part of a much more comprehensive plan on what we can do to bring down the cost of living, including housing, including the everyday needs of the American people.
Please, I need more specifics. You tell us you're going to go after billionaires, but Kamala, those billionaires are donating to your campaign. Jesus. We saw the DNC. We saw all the corporate big business donors at the top suites watching down on the DNC that Chris Cuomo was talking about, that audio I played weeks ago. If you guys didn't hear it, go back and check it out. Kamala, you've got to stop pretending that you're one of us. You're not like us. Kamala wants you to believe she was just a regular, her family grew up middle class. No, they didn't. And she lived in Canada. Come on. Jeez. Make it make sense. She does all this talking about middle class. I grew up middle class. No, you didn't. You were very well off. Everybody cared about their lawn. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Nobody gives a shit about a lawn. These people want to know, how are you going to goddamn bring down prices of food, gas, and all that other shit? There's a saying, if a motherfucker has to keep telling you where they from, they might not really be from there. It seems like every interview she has to tell everyone and try to convince people that she grew up middle class. Why do you have to keep telling us this? All these politicians tell us, oh, I grew up middle class. I grew up middle class. How? When you guys are going to these big colleges, these Ivy League colleges and schools, and growing up in great houses and big houses, white picket fences and all that, that's not the middle class in 2024. People can't even afford to send kids to college right now. What are we talking about? Make it make sense. But meanwhile, we got damn Zelensky. Why is Zelensky in Pennsylvania with Shapiro campaigning, signing missiles? Are we getting ready for war? Why do we have a foreign leader from another country coming and doing campaigning on behalf of a politician? Why was he in Pennsylvania campaigning? Motherfuckers in Pennsylvania signing missiles. How is this a thing? I would assume people are catching on to this, right? You guys aren't stupid. But hey, whatever, as long as motherfuckers get paid, right? Holistically. Like she says 3 times. Yeah. Did you hear about the federal judge who approved a $600 million class action settlement Wednesday for the people of Palestine, Ohio, for the residents? Y'all motherfuckers are going to get paid depending on how many of y'all it is. But the catch, y'all motherfuckers are going to glow in the dark for the rest of your lives. Just saying. That's the catch. You know. You might pee, if you're a guy, you might pee and your semen might be neon radioactive, but you'll be paid than a motherfucker. Oh, yeah. It's a give and a take. It's a give and a take, right? Just saying. I'm just wondering how much would you guys, I just want to know. People are interested in knowing, But this is the state of our country. This is what's going on. Meanwhile, something hilarious, by the way. Remember, I've been telling you guys since January 6th happened, people were saying that Trump didn't do anything, nothing, to sit up here and help have security for January 6th. Remember, I had been telling you guys on the Chronicles, I've been said, no, that's not true. Trump requested National Guard. Everybody else in the media was saying, no. Cuzzo stuck to his guns. And then we find out recently through the investigative reporting of John Solomon, we got to give it up for him, that indeed National Guard was requested. But let's get into it.
Unbelievable article that you had this morning in Just the News. Bombshell transcripts. Trump urged the use of troops to protect Capitol on January 6th.
Okay.
And John, when I look at this, it's so infuriating to think about the way the Democrats have used the last 3.5 years. He incited this and he did this and he's responsible for that. He didn't put a video out quick enough. He didn't do this. All of this pointed at all the incoming that President Trump has taken over this, this day. And then you read what he clearly commanded and said, this is what I want. This is what I expect. Do whatever you have to do. And then you have Muriel Bowser throwing in these ridiculous things. And I guess the commander in chief at that point was his orders, I guess, were questionable because they just said, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. We'll just do what we want. Recap this story for the audience.
Yeah, I think you summed it up really well, which is that the president gives in a January 3rd meeting, a full 3 days before January 6th and the tragedy unfolds in the Capitol. He's sitting there with Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and with Chris Miller, his defense secretary, and Kash Patel, chief of staff to the defense secretary. And January 6th comes up and he said, listen, I think the crowd's going to be big. Do whatever it takes to make sure it is a safe day. And he goes on to say, if you need National Guard troops or you need active duty troops, I approve them now. Go do it. You've got my blessing. Go do that. That's what the president says on January 3rd. At the same time that's going on, the Capitol Police are asking for National Guard assistance. Hey, it would be great to have them here. We're a little worried about things. And there are conversations going on between the Metropolitan Police Department and the U.S. Army Secretary, Ryan McCarthy, and they're asking for troops. And the leaders of the Pentagon come out of this meeting with the commander-in-chief, and they decide they're not going to follow his instruction. In fact, Chris Miller, the defense secretary, tells the inspector general of the Pentagon, who did an after-action report on January 6th, I was never going to send troops to the Capitol, period. I don't care what the president said. I wasn't going to send troops to the Capitol, period, because I'm paid to come up with political concerns, and it would be a political bad optic to have troops there during the transfer of power on the day that the vote is certified. So they defied the president's order. The police chief in Washington, D.C., then named Robert Conti, he's now at the FBI, but he was there as a chief. He's calling up Ryan McCarthy. Ryan McCarthy says, I don't think I'm going to grant you your National Guard because I don't like the optics of it. So you have people considering politics and optics when the question at hand was, as the president properly noted, security. Optics is not a security word. Politics is not a security word. And so the security went out the door, and people were more worried about the politics. And what were the politics? Well, these guys apparently had a little bit of Trump derangement syndrome because they were so scarred by the fact that Trump called out the National Guard to help with the violence during the summer of 2020, the BLM riots. They didn't want to look like Trump again. So they decided we're just not going to follow the president's order. The commander-in-chief gave his Pentagon clear instructions, and they chose not to follow it by their own words. These are their own words to the inspector general because of politics and optics. And just think how different that day would have been had the National Guard been in the Capitol. Think about it.
Exactly. But folks, remember, I was telling you guys that for what? 2 years now? 3 years? Damn near 4 years. And DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz seemed to indicate recently that there were possible covert operatives involved with January 6th. Now, remember a couple weeks ago, I kept saying, were there other people on the ground during January 6th? Remember, I kept playing you guys that audio. This is recent. This is even though I've talked about this years ago and I've stuck to my guns, now, even with the audio I played, a month and a half, 2 months ago, listen to this recent news.
Let me come back to January the 6th, 4.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago, sorry. There were a lot of people who thought that there were federal operatives within the crowd that day. Michael Horowitz, the DOJ's Inspector General, was on the Hill today and seemed to indicate that people who believe there were covert or confidential human sources in the crowd might actually be right. Listen to what he said.
So, but now that you've restarted it, do you have evidence of the number of confidential human sources that were operating on the Capitol grounds on January 6th?
Our report will include the information in that regard.
Can you tell us today how many there were? Were there more than 100?
I'm not in a position to say that, both because it's in draft form and we have not gone through the classification review. And so I need to be careful.
Do you know how many were reimbursed for travel?
As I sit here, I don't recall the number.
But there's something in the report. I mean, this is very intriguing. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He said this is being, looked at in the report. It could be that the report says, no, there weren't any, but he seems to be leaning toward, yes, there were.
Oh, I think he was definitely implying, yes, there were, because when he was asked, well, how many of them, these confidential human sources, which are effectively spies for the FBI, it's a tool of law enforcement, when asked how many were reimbursed for travel, he said he didn't recall the number off the top of his head, which indicates there's a number. And so I personally think this is the sleeper story of the day. So many lawmakers and pundits were decried as crazy for suggesting that there could be confidential human sources involved in January 6th. And it looks like there might just have been. Now, of course, the questions are, what was their level of involvement? What was the conversations there? Were they, in fact, enticing or inducing anyone to commit crimes? Because that would be a whole separate legal issue, of course. But lots of questions, and out of this very interesting testimony off Capitol Hill today.
Well, during that time in the year before, a lot of us were told, well, if you think this, you're crazy and you're a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. But a lot of that turned out to be true. So we'll see where this goes. It's intriguing.
Imagine that. And I don't like to be the guy that's the tinfoil guy. Well, unless it's a good story. But this is a thing. This is what was going on. And I wonder, will we ever actually find out? They said they're in the draft stage. So when it's a draft stage, that just tells me that it's going to take another fucking 5-6 years to come out. Yeah. Unless it's the Mueller report. Yeah. I mean, really. I'm just saying. Meanwhile, all this stuff is under the news, and we're talking about Kamala. We're praising Kamala after 2 assassination attempts. Assassination of Trumps. Assassination of Trumps. Look at that. Yeah. 2 assassination attempts. One of her offices, I believe, in Arizona got shot up yesterday. But we're not talking about the possible assassination of a president. What are we doing? That shit should be main news every day until we find out what is going on. But Kamala's only going to do interviews anyway. She's not going to put herself in the public eye like that. She's only doing interviews with people that give her softball interviews and softball questions. Even her surrogates can't even sit up here and find something to help with the situation. Chris Coons was on CNBC and he couldn't defend it at all.
If she would come on this show, and just like you do, and hopefully President Trump's going to come on, but former President Trump, if she would come on, we could get answers to a lot of these things. And I'm just wondering, as a surrogate that advises the campaign, there is an effort to rope-a-dope this thing right to the election, in my view. And the other side's done 40 or 50 interviews with J.D. Vance. I think I don't have to take my shoes off to count on my fingers and toes how many interviews that she's done along with Governor Walz. And that looks like a deliberate effort just not to face the hard questions and to try to, I don't know, I think Americans might finally say, I don't like the way this is working. I want to know, I think Andrew was getting at that in another way, that we would like to know something. We'd like to see questions asked and answers provided for all these things. And we may never get that. We only got 40 days left.
We just had Vice President Harris say, yes, let's do another presidential debate. And Donald Trump say no. And you have to agree that a nationally televised hour-long debate is one way to answer a lot of direct questions.
So is just sitting down with an interview with anyone.
And one of the concerns I've heard, I'm here in New York for the UN General Assembly. I've met with heads of state from South America, from Africa, from Europe, from Asia, foreign ministers, defense ministers, heads of state. All of them have questions about the reliability of the United States and our relationships with core allies. That's one of the key factors I also hope voters will take into account, is that Donald Trump promised he would be an unconventional president, and he overperformed.
But the answer is she's too busy? That should be in a stack list. I got to learn how to use the term stack list. That would be number one for my stack list, is to be transparent and open about what my plans are if I'm elected.
Yep. That's facts. What are her plans? Nobody cares about another debate. Nobody cares about that. People want to know, what is she going to do? What are her plans regarding the issues? Hell, even somebody asked her, well, what do you think about having your security upgraded because of threats? How do you feel about that? Something. People want to know these things. People have questions and they want answers to these questions. The economy. People want more details on what she's going to do regarding the economy. Not just these half-ass answers. I mean, she's got to know, right? Speaking of the whole assassination attempt thing, man, did you see Matt Gaetz drop that bombshell? Oh, let me get you guys didn't know about that, but guess what? Cuzzo's got you when it comes to the bombshells. You dig? I got you. I got you.
I'll break a little news for you. I had a senior official from the Department of Homeland Security in my office before the second assassination attempt saying that what he has assessed is that there are 5 known assassination teams in the United States, 3 inspired by other governments, 2 that are here that are known domestic assassination teams. And with that, this individual was coming to me concerned that the force protection around President Trump, even prior to that second assassination attempt, was not sufficient for what it needed to be. And the coordination at that level, at the dignitary protection level, is like the bare minimum that we have to do to keep our presidents, our presidential candidates safe while they're on the trail.
So there are 5, I just want to follow up, 5 assassination teams. Are they all targeting Trump? Is it other officials?
Yes. No, wow. I should have been clear about that. 5 teams that we know are targeting Trump. And so that raises real questions about why certain teams were being pulled off of the Trump detail and put on, for example, the Jill Biden detail. Now, we don't want anything bad to happen to Jill Biden, but at the same time, the threat envelope for her was substantially different than the threat envelope around President Trump, and it would not have necessitated pulling assets away from the Trump detail for the Jill Biden detail or the John Bolton detail or any other details that were beefed up. At the same time, the requests from the Trump detail and from the Trump campaign for more security were going unanswered.
Cuzzo's coming with the news for y'all, man. 5? So really, he should have had top tier security this whole fucking time. Somebody's got to answer for this. Somebody has to explain how these attempts are happening and why hasn't the detail always been beefed up? Why were the requests going unanswered? You know, but we're just wooing over Kamala, though. It's crazy. Make it make sense. Did you guys also see that audio of that lady that talked about people were getting paid to go to Kamala rallies? That shit was hilarious. I laughed when I heard that. I laughed and I shook my head. That's all I could do. You know?
In my nail tech, I've been going there for 15 years, so they're like family to me. But they said that their one cousin is in South Philly, and listen to this. She is getting paid $700 a week to go to wherever Kamala's campaign tells them to go to. So it's $100 a day, $700 a week. And she's not even a citizen. She can't vote, but she wants that extra money, so that's why she's doing it. So their campaign is getting a bunch of people. That's why you see these people on the side of the roads with signs or whatever, going to these protests. They get travel paid for and everything, and they're not even able to vote. So they're just standing there with signs for no fucking reason for $100 a day. I can't. I had to share with you guys.
Oh, gosh. Make it make sense. When will they fucking learn, right? I guess they never will. Sexual chocolate. Yeah. Sexual chocolate, man. They what can I say about them, man? They just sound so lovely. Wouldn't you agree? So I was informed about this story from someone. They didn't want to, I don't believe that they wanted to sit up here and be named who it was, but I was informed and asked to talk about this story with the sheriff killing this judge in Kentucky. Now, it's very kind of sketch the details. Rumors were they exchanged phones or something along those lines before the whole shooting happened. The details are very, very slim. But I'm going to play some audio of the actual one of the people on the scene talking about the incident.
As of right now, Kentucky State Police is still ongoing in the investigation of the shooting that took place here in Letcher County earlier this date. At this time, we can confirm that the district judge was shot and unfortunately has passed away. So as of right now, that's the new information that we have. Again, this is still an isolated incident. We do have an arrest that was made. Hopefully to have that information for you guys as we move forward. As of right now, that's all I have. But it is an isolated incident. There is no threat to the public right now.
Are you able to share names at this point?
At this time, that is the only name that we can share. As we move forward and get a little more information, hopefully we can go ahead and relay that to you guys.
Are you able to share exactly what time it happened and where in the courthouse it happened?
It did take place inside the courthouse. As far as the definitive time, I don't have that at hand. We're ready. That is something that I can definitely get you later on.
Can you talk a little about the community response to what's happened here today?
Anytime a situation like this takes place, especially in a small town, it shakes the very foundation of what the town is, and this is no different. We're just hoping that it's a bad situation, that we can resolve it as quickly as possible and start that process forward. We're conducting the investigation. We're doing the best job that we can. Our hearts go out to everybody that was involved and affected by this.
Is there anything you can share about a motive yet?
As far as the motive, it's still a very early stages of this investigation, and that's questions that we still have at this time that we're still trying to figure out. So hopefully as the days move forward, that's information that we'll be able to find out as well. There is several witnesses, which adds to the complexity of the investigation, which means, detectives will have to interview each and every witness that was present.
Now, as of right now, the sheriff has pleaded not guilty. So we're going to have to wait and see more details about what the eyewitnesses have witnessed. But there were rumors of a possible phone exchange. Was there adultery at play? There's no telling. But for the sheriff to just go off the handle to kill a judge, it just makes you wonder what the fuck was going on, So I'm interested in knowing. I want to follow this case because I'm interested in learning what the details are, because the details could be shocking. Who knows? But shout to the homie that sent me that info. If you want me to say your name next time I talk about it, I'll say your name, absolutely. But I'm definitely interested in this story, and I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened when they did the phone exchange. It might have been something somebody didn't want to see or know about, and then the sheriff went to handle some business, or it could have just been some other shit. I don't know. There is no telling. Speaking of funny shit, did you guys see Eric Dyson in this whole Nancy May thing? Yeah. Nancy May was on with Eric Dyson, and they were going back and forth, and Eric Dyson was pretty much calling Nancy May racist because of the way she pronounced Kamala's name, which was funny. Then she went and exposed him trying to message her, pretty much trying to holler. Yeah. Yeah. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up.
I would like to also enter into the record a screenshot of a text message I received from the esteemed professor from Vanderbilt, Michael Eric Dyson, after my CNN interview, begged me for photos. In this text, he says, after calling me racist on CNN, don't tell anybody, we look good together, and sent me a kissy emoji.
Without
then
objection.
The guy
Order.
says I'm gorgeous in all these photos. I don't think he's that bent out of shape on how anyone pronounces Kamala. And if we're going to have that standard, you got to hold it to both sides, not just one or the other.
Now, of course, he had a response on there where he did a whole social media response talking about that's not what it was and this and that and the third. Eric, it's okay. We know you is a motherfucker who always likes to quote Tupac and rappers, try to sound hip, use all these big words to try to make everybody feel intellectually smaller. Just admit it, my guy. You like snow bunnies. It's okay to admit it. I love snow bunnies. Everybody likes snow bunnies. But don't sit up here and try to act one way. And that's the problem with a lot of these leaders. They try to act one way on TV, and then behind the scenes, they're a totally different way. And he got busted out. We look good together. Gosh. I would play his response, but it's like, nigga, you like snow bunnies. Just keep it a buck. It's not worth playing. It's not worth playing it. You like snow bunnies. Keep it a buck. You like what you like. If you like snow bunnies, you like snow bunnies. You know, I mean, don't make it difficult. You trying to get on social media and mansplain the shit makes it worse. You didn't want your black wife to know you like snow bunnies. Yeah. Oh, man. What are we coming to? We have an election coming up, and the number one issue in my eyes is still the migrant crisis. It still is to me. No one can convince me otherwise that that is not the biggest issue on the docket for this country. I saw this thing recently, and I'm going to play it for you guys. It's lengthy, but all these people that, if you're African American, if you're Hispanic in inner cities and inner city communities attached to inner cities, you guys have to listen to this, because we don't talk enough about how migrants coming in are affecting the inner city communities. In this case, it highlights Chicago, and it's actual gang members and former gang members talking about how this is affecting them, how this is affecting their community. Yes, this is a thing. So we're going to sit up here and listen to this. I want you guys to peep it out. Share this. We'll share these episodes with your friends anyway, your family, everybody anyway. I mean, if you're getting migrants influxed into the inner city, into your inner city, you might as well wear a needle and thread shirt, right? You might as well. Why not? Fuck it, right? Nothing says to migrants, don't fuck with me, like the don't clown around tee on needleandthreads.com. Got to get that don't clown around tee, you dig? Don't fuck with me. Oh, yeah. So that's needleandthreadsco.com, needleandthreadsco.com. Promo code Chronicles for 15% off at checkout. Remember that. That's good shit. But let's get into this video because it's a really good video.
America has allowed gangs to enter our country.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over
every block right now.
The city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke. It's going to go up in flame.
Gangs in Chicago are angry over the influx of migrants and criminals in their city. They say money that should be going to the African American community on the South Side is instead going to what they call non-citizens, and warn that turf wars between Chicago's gangs and groups like Venezuela's Tren de Aragua could see Chicago, quote, go up in flames. Photographer Matt McDermott and I traveled to Chicago's South Side to see what was happening for ourselves after we heard about a police report last month that the Tren de Aragua gang had taken over an office building there. We spoke to a number of young, hardcore gang members, as well as gang elders who have retired from the life, and just regular citizens who are very much part of the community. And they're all furious at the estimated $500 million that's reportedly been funneled toward new migrants in Chicago since 2022. And they aren't happy either about what they say are Venezuelan criminal gangs that are leaving the shelters and spilling out into the South Side into abandoned buildings. I spoke to Tyrone Muhammad of Ex-Cons for Trump, who runs a street patrol and violence prevention program. He's gone straight since his days as an enforcer for the Gangster Disciples. And he said the situation is very tense on the South Side as turf battles between the local gangs and Venezuelan migrants heat up.
It is impossible to release gang members and criminals into our country through the borders and broken walls, and then infiltrate them in our communities that's already impoverished, that's already broken, that's already disinvested. And when the black gangs, the leadership in the black gangs in Chicago get fed up with the illegalities and the criminal activity of these migrants or non-citizens, the city of Chicago is going to go up in smoke, it's going to go up in flame, and it's going to be nothing that the National Guard or our government can do about it when the bloodshed hit the streets, blacks against migrants.
Zach Massey did time in state prison with Tyrone Muhammad, although he's only 27. He's a leader on the streets and said he's disgusted by the money going to Venezuelan migrants at the expense, he says, of the African American community.
I finally actually talked to him on the translator app, and he told me all the things that he got going on, how they help him get a car, apartment, clothes, link. So it's just like, I just be looking at it like they ain't got no social security number. Where they come from? He probably not even here legally.
They get right here, they get quick housing, quick funding, food. They get cars with no license. They can't even read English and stuff like that. So they get all these perks when they get here, and we still here starving. So what we gonna do about it? Are y'all gonna listen to our cries?
Corey Rogers was a Blackstone gang member for years. He drove us around the South Side and showed us areas where he said Tren de Aragua and other criminal gangs are setting up shop, and what he called showing the flag, which means brandishing their weapons in front of like a housing project.
The migrants that are coming, they're taking over every block right now in this area. Right now you don't see them because they come out at night. They said they took this courtway over probably by last week. They said it was 100 Venezuelans standing out in the front right here.
Terry, is it an abandoned building? How do they just take it over?
When you take over something, you just stand outside, and that's called showing the flag.
What kind of guns?
Semi-automatics, anything you name. You're gonna see it on the street. These boys got so many big guns that if they're 150 pounds, the gun is bigger than them. I swear.
But they know how to handle it, right? They know what. Tell me about the fact that they're criminals, right? This is a criminal element. These aren't just a bunch of Venezuelans that walked over the border and used to be gardeners back home, right?
Right. They come from the gangland. They come from rougher gangs than us.
One gang member, who only gave his name as David on a particularly dangerous drug-dealing corner on the South Side, did not hold back when he talked about the influx of criminal gangs from other countries into Chicago.
The real issue is that America has allowed gangs to enter our country. Gangs that they would consider terrorist groups that are formed here. We are terrorist groups if we're in a gang. They let terrorists in our country.
The Reverend Corey Brooks also said to me he's disgusted with Democratic policies and said that Black Lives Matter, for example, has never reached out to help him or anyone else trying to improve conditions on the South Side.
Chicago is a blue city. Illinois is a blue state. There's no doubt about it that the majority of our neighborhood, they're going to continue to vote Democrat until they wake up. The good news is that there are a lot of people who are responding and waking up and saying, listen, we're not going to take this. We're not going to stand for this. We're going to vote differently. And they're now accepting some of the values that I hold dear and some of the values that the conservative Republican Party holds so dear. And so for a lot of people, it's not about the person, it's about the policies that we're fed up with. And as a result, I think this is going to be the largest amount of people who have voted for a Republican president in Chicago that we've seen.
I also spoke to one Venezuelan man who was so scared of being identified that he put a hoodie on and refused to face the camera. He told me in Spanish that he had to flee the building where he was being housed because a Venezuelan criminal gang took it over. He said if they knew he was talking, they'd end his family's life back in Venezuela with one bullet. You know, what struck me the most about our week in Chicago was how intelligent and self-aware these gang members and ex-gang members are about their community. You understand when you talk to them that joining a gang and making big money selling drugs is often too tempting to resist when faced with the lack of other real opportunities to make money. And for a place known mostly in news stories for being bloody and violent at night, the area is like a village during the daytime. Everyone knows each other, and believe it or not, there's a friendly vibe. But we spoke to a lot of people, and their patience is being stretched thin. I would not be surprised to see the gangs here taking action once the Venezuelans try to get a real foothold here.
Folks, this is a serious issue. You know, African Americans, we can't sit up here and say this doesn't affect us anymore. So many times we say this doesn't affect our community. We don't have to worry about this issue. Well, now this issue that affects so many other people is knocking at our front door. We have to do something. It's time to start making better decisions with our votes. It's time to clean up neighborhoods from all that stuff anyway. It's time. We've got to get on the same page, and getting on the same page means we need to start making changes. Cities that always vote the same and have these same outcomes, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. We'll be back. I had to sing along with that. You know, fuck it. Sometimes you just gotta say fuck it. Yeah. You know. So I went to see Alien the other day, Romulus. And I've got to say, you know, the reviews I heard about it and everything were good. It was a good movie. I just don't think it was what everybody said it was going to be. So out of 5 beanies, I give it 3 beanies. It does start off very slow. The third act of the movie is very entertaining. But overall, I don't know. With these alien movies, it takes too long to get going. You have to have a face hugger. You have to have a victim of the face hugger. You have to have the alien hatch. Then you have to have it kill people to grow. I mean, there's so many steps to an alien movie. I think we need to just go straight into alien movies already having the aliens. Not just having them, someone has to get a face hugger. Just get past that shit. Yeah, just get past it, you know? But that's just my opinion, though. So 3 out of 5 beanies for that. I think personally you guys could wait for that to come out on video. Did you guys see the commercial for the new Ballerina movie based in the John Wick universe? Did you see it? I watched it today. Why did their dumbasses give away that John Wick was alive? There was supposed to be mystery in that. You were supposed to wonder, is John Wick still alive? Now you put him in the fucking first trailer? Make it make sense. Just saying. You know? Make it make fucking sense. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of moving pieces in the media right now. But the main focus is the election. And I tell you guys have a decision to make soon. We're what, 40 days, less than 40 days out? Kamala's not going to do a hard interview between now and then. She can't afford it. So those of you that think that she's going to do a hard-hitting interview where she's going to take tough questions, she's not. If from what they're saying is true and they're statistically tied in the polls right now, she can't do it. She can't afford to do an interview where she bombs. She has to have puff piece interviews. I'm just keeping it a buck with y'all. I don't want to lead you guys on and think that she's going to do a hard-hitting interview. She's not. So keep that into consideration. But some places have already started early voting, so there's no need for another debate. I agree with Trump on that. And what's the point of another debate anyway if you're not willing to go anywhere but ABC or CNN? She's playing these shenanigans games that she thinks nobody's going to catch on to, but we see right through it. We see you, Kamala. We see you. Yeah. You know. But like I said, you guys need to be paying attention. When I cover stuff like the January 6th stuff, I know sometimes it's unpopular. Trust me, when the whole January 6th shit first happened, and I said there was a lot of funny business on, I got a lot of flack from the homies. I can't even front on y'all. I got a lot of flack. I'm sure I got looked at crazy, but now here we are years later and shit's starting to come out. And all this shit that's starting to come out was shit that I was saying years ago. So I see now I'm one of those homeboys. You gotta spin the block back around and say, yo, my nigga, you was right. Yeah. So, you know, y'all know what it is anyway, shit. Kamala got teleprompters and shit at her fucking sit down with Oprah. Can't make this up. Somebody needs to tell that bitch mission failed.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
But yeah, man, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Remember, go check out the previous episodes. You already know what it is. It's the Chronicles Podcast, baby. needleandthreadsco.com. That's NEEDLENTHREADSCO.com. They got the Halloween collection up already. Chronicles gets you 15% off at checkout. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Cuzzo. You know how I say.
I'm better than you, and you know it.
We the best podcast out, man. Salute to the homie Twan. Salute to all y'all that listen. If you guys are taking a vacation, listen to the Chronicles. If you're in the gym, listen to the Chronicles. If you're in traffic, listen to the Chronicles. If you're arguing with your chick or your dude, listen to the Chronicles. Y'all know what it is. We up out of here. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Get goals accomplished. Y'all already know.
Yeah!